Alright, so I'm going to walk you through one of my brisket cooks. So I've got today is a Friday, and tomorrow me and four of my friends are all going to be cooking up a brisket, and we're just going to have a little competition. We all cook on Weber Smokey Mountains. So it's close to it's 11 p.m. on a Friday night, and I'm going to go ahead and I would have done this earlier, but we had some friends over, so this is my first chance. But I'm going to go ahead and get this thing ready, and I'm basically from now all the way till when it's ready to slice, I'm just going to take several videos of kind of the process all the way through, so you can kind of see how I like to prepare and cook a brisket. So this is a flat cut brisket. This is about a 6-pound brisket. I got it at Sam's Club here in Gainesville, so they have pretty good prices. First thing I did is this is the top, but if I flip it over, here's kind of where the fat cap is, and this was pretty thick. I trimmed probably from about here over was the fat cap, and I trimmed about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch off of fat. Last time I cooked a brisket, I was kind of in a rush and didn't trim any of this off, and that's not a big deal, except when you go to serve it and slice it, you've got a fairly thick layer of fat here that has to be cut off whenever you're going to eat it. So that's kind of a pain. So a lot of this, if you can trim it down far enough, a lot of this is just going to break down into the meat and won't even be there once it's done, once it's ready. So take a knife, it doesn't really matter what kind. There's some knives that are better than others, but try to trim some of that off. So first thing I'm going to do is sometimes I like to inject whatever cut I'm going to be cooking, so butts or picnics or briskets, whatever it is. There's various different things that are good to inject this with, and what I'm going to be using today, I make a lot of my own homemade stuff. There's a local guy here in Gainesville that runs a catering company that does a lot of work, does really good, has a lot of really good food, and he actually turned me on to this stuff right here today. This stuff is called Pirate's Gold, and I was talking to him about the injection marinade I was going to use, homemade, and he told me about this. You can just get this at Publix and I guess some other stores wherever you're at, but here in my area you can get it at Publix. And if you look at the back here, it's got soy sauce, water, fruit juices, pineapple, lemon, chili powder, and garlic in it. So when you take this off and smell it, I mean, it just smells really good. Lots of flavors coming out of it. First thing you're going to notice when you smell this is that it smells like it's going to go really good with beef. So what I'm going to do is I've got my little Bayou Classic here that I've actually, if you've seen some of my other videos, you've seen this guy. This is probably going to get messy. I'm not wearing my apron. I probably should be. But, flat cut briskets, you don't have a lot of volume that you're working on. So this thing has, if you can see here, it's got like 3 holes in it. So I'm probably just going to try to get enough in there for the first or second hole. And I'm just going to try to go all over this thing and get a lot of this marinade up in here. So we're just going to go all up over this thing like this. and I'm being careful not to push too hard or it'd be spraying out all over the place right now. Try to go about every inch, like inch squares if you can. And and like I'm saying, you know, it's getting to about like right there, so it's getting all the way down in there. So you can make your own homemade stuff. A lot of people use beef bouillon powder and beef broth and water, just mix all that together. But if you can find a good one like this, it's probably good to experiment with. So again, it's kind of coming in here like this, and again, not pushing hard because it would just go flying everywhere. So you can see it's not too hard. I'm getting it all up in there. Get some more. You can easily go through a whole bottle of this in one brisket. We'll see how we do here. And notice I'm kind of coming in at an angle. You know, if you come down at an angle like this, oops, there we go. You can actually get all 3 holes down up in there, but go real slow. So I'm putting some good pressure on it right now. It's kind of hard to see. That one scored a little bit, not too bad. But this guy's all the way down in here, below the meat surface. And I'm barely pushing, and it's just filling that thing up. Okay. And back out kind of soft, or it'll go squirting everywhere. Same thing. So you'll kind of get used to doing this. Oh, there it went. That one just squirted everywhere. Not too bad though. Oh, there it went. That one just went flying across the kitchen actually. I'll do one more, we'll be done. Some of you guys out there may be pros at this and can do this flawlessly, but it's kind of tricky. Really thick part down here on the end. So again, see how I just slid that in like that and loading it up pretty good. If I push any harder, it's just going to blast out like it did a second ago. There it went. Actually, I'll do one more and we'll be done. Do a couple more. And one thing I should have been doing is kind of covering it with my hand like this. See this? So I just tried to spray out and my hand caught it. See, there we go, I caught that one. Alright, so I'm going to put this one over here. Alright, so now that I've got this thing injected pretty good, What I'm going to do is this right here. This is a rub from California. This is from Simply Marvelous. This is called their Sweet Seduction. It has dehydrated honey and peach powder in it with some other spices. It's really good on beef. And did it on some beef short ribs a couple weeks ago. It was super good. So I'm going to do it on this brisket, this cook. So if you watch some of my other videos, and you're probably familiar with this process, but what I like to do is go ahead and you can see it's super saturated with the marinade that I've injected it in. So that's going to be sitting in there till tomorrow when we throw it on the cooker. But I'm going to get just some cheap mustard on it, like this. Kind of rub this all over. And the mustard basically just helps lock in the rub. If you're not familiar with this, the mustard completely just cooks away during the cook. You won't taste any of it. So most guys use it just to kind of help lock in the rub. I generally like to go pretty heavy on the rub because I want a good bark and just some good flavor. You don't have to go too crazy, but this thing is going to be amazing, I can tell you right now. This rub is pretty expensive. I generally like to make my own, but every once in a while I like to kind of reach out and get some of these custom ones that are made. And this one is phenomenal. I've tried this on a few different cooks recently. So again, go pretty heavy on it. Alright, I'll flip this over. Wash my hands. So this is the fat cap side, and this is the side that's going to be facing up when I throw it on the smoker. This fat on this area will break down during the cook and saturate into the meat. Again, if you have too much of it, it's gonna, not all of it's gonna break down, and you'll have to cut that off once you're ready to serve it. And it's not a super big deal, but it's kind of a pain. You know, you don't really want to serve that having a big layer of fat on there. The fat does nothing but just make the meat taste better and more tender, but it still is kind of a pain to have to cut off a lot of it. So put in just a little bit of time to cut some of that off, and it'll be well worth it. Alright, so we're going to do this side. This is like a 2.5 pound bowl of this rub, so this is going to last me a while. Like I said, it's pretty expensive, but it'll go a good ways. I go pretty thick on it. On brisket and butts and picnics, I generally go pretty thick. Be well worth it. And kind of lift up some of these edges and get it up on the edge like that. Make sure those are all good and covered. And last step, so I take just cheapo garbage bags. So I got a super cheap garbage bag here. If you're rubbing down ribs, you might want to use a thicker garbage bag because they might rip. I've had that happen a few times, but for briskets and butts, there's no sharp edges, so you don't really have to worry about it too much. So I just take this cheap garbage bag. This thing is nice and rubbed down. And throw it in there. Wipe my hand off a little bit. And there you go. This is going to go sit in the fridge for about 24 hours. Just sit in this this marinade and this rub, and by the time it's going to go in the cooker, it's just going to be phenomenal. And we'll pick back up tomorrow once I'm getting the cooker ready, and we'll go from there. Okay, here we go. So last night was Friday when I kind of walked you through how I got it. Got the brisket injected and rubbed down. It's now Saturday morning, about 8 o'clock. I've got charcoal in the chimney getting hot, and my Weber Smokey Mountain set up and just about ready to go. Probably another 30 minutes. So this has just been sitting out for a while. Again, this one is rubbed down with the Sweet Seduction rub by Simply Marvelous, a company out of California. This one over here, this is actually another one that's going to be on the cooker today. I'm doing this one for a friend, and she brought over, I'll show you right here, this sweet and spicy cocoa rub by the Dove chocolate company, and it smells amazing. And I've never actually cooked with a chocolate rub before, so I imagine it's going to go really, really well with this brisket. So again, I'll be following us along through this whole cook, and just kind of show you what I do, and we'll see how it turns out. Alright, so here we go. Getting ready to get the briskets on the Weber Smokey Mountain. So here's the one that is rubbed down with the chocolate rub, looking just amazing. And here's the one that's got the Sweet Seduction on it. So both of these are about 6-pound flat cut briskets, and just been sitting in a garbage bag rubbed down with rub since last night. So these things are looking phenomenal. So I'm going to go ahead and get them on the smoker. And take the lid off. Take the pit probe off just for a second. And we're going to do one right there. The other one right here. You can see how much room there is on the, you can come over here, Jim. See how much room there is on the 22.5. So those are both pretty big briskets, and they fit just fine on there. So what I'm going to do now is just go ahead and get these things set up with a couple food probes in them, and I'm going to cook at about 2:30, and then we'll pick back up in a little bit, and I'll show you how they're doing. Alright, we are about, I threw the briskets on around 9 o'clock. It's about 3:30 now. It's been pretty chilly today, around 60 degrees today. I'm in Florida, so I think that's cold. Some of you will laugh at that, but it's been pretty chilly, so I think that's kind of been affecting the cook a little bit. You can see that the brisket's kind of sitting around close to 160. It's actually plateaued right around this temperature for about 3 hours now, and plateauing or stalling is it's also known as is just kind of where between like the 150, 165 degree range, it kind of just stalls and tends to sit here for multiple hours. And that's what's happened today. Generally, if it's hot outside and the external sides of the cooker is pretty hot and get it heated by the sun, I found that this doesn't really happen that much, or the stall just ends up being like an hour, maybe two. But kind of been having a issue with that today, and so what I did was, let me go ahead and take this lid off here. Here are the two briskets, and I normally actually don't foil them. There's a lot of people that swear by foiling them. It's also known as like the Texas crutch, and you know, foiling them is just going to kind of steam them, help speed up the cooking process, and it also makes them a lot more tender. Well, I never do this because I am using a Weber Smokey Mountain, and since there's a water pan in it, they always just come out really tender anyways. But I'm starting to get a little cramped on time, so I went ahead and just foiled them, put a little bit of marinade in the bottom of the tinfoil boat and just wrapped them up. So that should speed up the process, and I'll follow up once we take them off and we cut into them so you can see what they look like. Alright, so we did a brisket cook-off today. 4 of us, all using Weber Smokey Mountains. Threw a brisket on with various rubs, various marinades, various cooking styles, and we all met up today. So I'm Steve. This is the first one. What I did was we all have 5 to 6 pound flat cut briskets that we did. This is a brisket that was marinated with Pirate's Gold, which is like this Caribbean style marinade. You can actually just get it at Publix. And I cooked with pecan wood and oak wood for about 9-10 hours. Jack?
This is Jack, and this was the first brisket I've done, so I went pretty basic on it. I used just a basic rub, paprika and some garlic and whatnot, and then after I rubbed it down, hit it with some Montreal steak seasoning, and smoked it for about 10 hours with pecan wood, and came out pretty good.
I'm Mike, and my brisket, it's a 5 pound brisket. I cut off the fat cap. I used a pretty basic rub, really basic, with sugar and pepper and stuff like that. And then I injected it with a beef broth base with a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. Cooked it for probably about 7.5 hours, and with pecan wood and oak wood.
I'm Josh, and I did like a 6 pound brisket. I marinated it with some Worcestershire, tomato, and
What did you smoke it with?
Some black pepper and some seasoning in it. Marinated overnight, threw it in the fridge, and seasoned it with just basic rub and some Montreal steak, and cooked it with cherry wood for about 9 hours.